It's now time for our weekly spotlight. Hello and welcome to our weekly spotlight segment. It's now my pleasure to introduce Aelita Leto. Aelita Leto, a Feng Shui practitioner. Thank you for being with us, Aelita.
Thank you for having me here.
It's wonderful. We've not yet had an opportunity to speak other than prepping for the show, and I've had my own experiences with Feng Shui, and they've all been very, very positive. So on behalf of all my viewers and so on, I'd like to welcome you and look forward to sharing some of the ideas and things you have for us today.
Likewise, sir.
Oh, wonderful. So for those who, I mean, like I said, for me, I have some background in Feng Shui. And for those who are watching us today and like, Feng, what? What did Dan just say? Well, why don't you give our viewers a little background of what Feng Shui is?
Sure. Well, this is very ancient art of studying the landforms and environment and replicating and seeing how it expresses itself within our human life. The traditional Feng Shui means wind and water. So you can also look at it's like unseen forces and seen forces. For example, your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings is like wind. So when you think like something like a physical place and environment, it's more like water. When those two forces are interconnect, there's the relationships created, and it's also a sense and feel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And for you, when you talk about feel, do you you have a certain sensitivity to some of the things the energies that are in a building and so forth? Is that correct?
Well, that's the part of it that's experience. I think I've been practicing for more than 20 years. And I've been very fortunate to work and be apprentice of the renowned master of the Don Juan Tong. I also have been studying with the Alex Stark and many masters actually through my lifetime. The point is when you become a master of things, when you can see how you can apply the knowledge and combine with your intuitive self and experience and combining and reflecting to it and helping the clients.
Well, if you have more you want to share about just what environment means, feel free to, along with this question. And it's when someone is looking at a home, what would motivate them to have you after they buy the house, to have you come in and give your expertise and your input about what that home represents? Well,
let's start with a larger picture. In my practice, I do view the area or your home, let's say it's example, from the bigger perspective. We look actually at the country. I'm almost like looking at the Google Earth. You type the address and you look, okay, you are in the Bay Area. You're in California Bay Area. You're in Silicon Valley. You're down to Los Gatos. You're down to your neighborhood. You're looking at the larger, like a bird view, a vision, and what's the potential of the location is. Then you put together with your, like a human nature, you take your intents, okay, what would you like to achieve by being in that space? So if it's a young family or it's a retired family, it's somebody, why would you choose San Francisco or why would you choose like quieter neighborhoods, down? So there's the reasons where you are in life to accommodate those needs. So that's I think the Feng Shui is from the bigger picture. So it's not just like you come in and you move the furniture. It's probably most typically seen.
I think a lot of people feel like, okay, it's just what has the best feel and flow. It's like, space management, that's nice.
It's important, but there's certain places you go and you feel the atmosphere, you're not comfortable. And you can really, quickly identify that. And there's other places you go and you feel relaxed and homey and just kind of, I can stay here. So this is Feng Shui works in more like a subconscious level, because it's like the sensory system we involve, like with our 5 senses. It reflects our being because we constantly interact. Our senses constantly in connection and in talking of the experience.
Yeah, in the nonverbal communication.
Nonverbal, yeah.
Right. And some people, that's hogwash. All you have to do is look at your cell phone and think there's no wire connected to it. Don't think something's hogwash just because you can't see it, right?
Yeah.
So You know, and I look at shopping centers, and some shopping centers, there's always people moving in and out, moving in and out. And it's like, boy, restaurants just can't seem to make it there. And it makes me wonder, I wonder if it's just, maybe they're on the eye of the dragon or whatever these different elements are. I don't know. I really don't know very much about it. Well, I've heard someone say that. Well, well, that won't be successful on the eye of the dragon. I'm like, gosh, that's going to kill any business that ever goes there.
Well, you have to look at the Feng Shui for the home,
yeah.
Feng Shui for the business, Feng Shui for the school, Feng Shui for the casino. There'll be completely different Feng Shui application. Let's say for somebody who are doing Feng Shui for the, let's say for the mall or for the big shopping center.
Right.
What do you want as a goal? Is to have a client, to have customers to be around and all the time to shop, right? When you look at the school, you want the kid, you want a child to cross the path, to go to school as fast as you can, so you don't have a middling, environment. You have very straight,
focused attention.
Right, attention. You have a very structural, very easy, clean, structural way. That's how you, direct the chi. In home, you want to have like the motivation why you come home. You are separating yourself from the daily matter, and you come in this home, your yin, very personal environment. And there's a big difference.
Interesting. I do have a specific question about someone buying a property, but based on what you're just saying, it's interesting to me. So if a home doesn't have the right energy, are you able to tweak it and help it get better energy?
Every place, everything has energy, right? Is to identify what's the timeliness of that energy that would work for you and serve you, and to enhance that part. That's the key. And I think the practitioner, as a Feng Shui practitioner, is to listening the client's needs and identifying how the potential of those needs would match to the space.
And the better you are with understanding what they want and matching it creates a better outcome for those people, the family that lives there.
Right. You would not do the gardening, let's say, in the north side of the house. You ideally would have a garden somewhere southeast, south exposure, because that's just the natural force that lets the growth to grow, right?
Of course.
So when we go against these natural energies and natural forces, and we don't really see what's behind our walls of our structure, and we don't get connectedness to the natural environment, that's the patterns of the sun, the patterns of the days and the seasons, then we feel like a little bit more disconnected, and then
and I've never felt very positive about any conversation or environment when I felt disconnected. I wanted to move or change it somehow and change my environment.
Yeah, good.
Which is just back to that same thing, right? So if someone, a buyer, for example, what is typical that you find that they're looking for you to share with them when you do Feng Shui in their home?
Location. It's location, location, location. If I know that's for example, I just recently had the case when the family moved from the East Coast, and it's understood that they did not want to buy right away. They were looking for renting, and that's what they did. They found, but because of having more security, they chose gated community rather than being somewhere, openness to that. So they're bringing structure because they have small kids. They kind of want to doing this step by step. Also, investing a year in a rent rather than right away buying, I think, was a very smart move to identify, okay, is this area is for them? Is it good enough to go distances that they need to do? Either schools are good enough to support what they need, because that's a big change. East Coast and West Coast. It's a different mentality and culture, and Feng Shui is also about culture.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. A moment ago you mentioned about the seasons. So maybe touch on seasons for me.
Well, we're in a beautiful season. It's the season of fall, so I think we see a lot of pumpkins around, and this is a significant example of yin and yang. I think these terms have heard. If you think about the seed, and you plant the seed with its yin potential, right? We nurture the seed through the summer, and then we have the harvest time, which is now. So this complete young energy has been finally formed and manifested, and it becomes this yin, which we can actually physically can see and touch and enjoy.
And so how would you apply, I mean, that's a very pragmatic approach to season, of course. But what is the application with, or how would you connect that to your practice of Feng Shui?
It's reminding yourself to conduct your behavior with the seasons. Because it's maybe a little bit hard in the Western cultures, especially with a fast-paced, and we are not everybody is a farmer, not everybody is agriculturally involved, and we have, groceries like apples and all the fruits through the season in the stores. We're not really the ones who...
We don't necessarily appreciate all the seasons
exactly,
that come.
Yeah, and it's hard.
Except by flavor. The flavors of peaches, I don't care. If I get one in January, I don't know if I'm buying that one.
That's exactly, so you have developed awareness.
Yeah, sure.
When is the maximum potential of that harvest. So going with the natural forces and kind of staying with the steady what the environment provides is very important. It's actually, we are within that nature. We're not the ones who are creating the nature. We are in it. We are part of it.
I think the human condition is we get a bit arrogant with what we're part of and what we create.
That's true.
Yeah. So share with us, this is a very interesting vein of questioning and conversation now. Because I think we're touching on how you might share with our viewers to pause and reflect on what's happening around them. Even if in my house I don't have room for a garden, so I don't plant corn, I don't plant pumpkins and so forth. But my wife and I, we've planted flowers, and there are seasons for them. Mm-hmm. Or I might drive down the street and appreciate the leaves that are falling and the colors that are changing in the trees. So this is just my unlearned opinion or view. But maybe you could share a bit and give us some maybe challenges or just some guidance to our viewers to help them connect to being part of that nature.
We're never surprised that in the morning we expect the sun to rise in the east, right?
That's correct.
And set in the west. We always put the sunset, we go all the way to across the mountains, we go into Santa Cruz, for example.
Right.
And it's obviously that direction the sunset takes place. So there's no matter how long we've been living or gonna live, there's certain patterns are imprinted over and over and over. We're not innovating anything new, not by the surprise. So we have this understanding when you as a human being, you're self-reflecting human being, see also what's happening in the season. What's happening in the spring is that when the buds are evoking and nature is like naivete, not knowing what's going to be, but the potential of the spring is tremendous. And now we're observing fall when the leaves are falling and making all these colors, and it's actually expressing this fire element where days are coming shorter, but the nature finds the fire element itself. Then closer to winter, we decorate our houses, we put extra lights out, right? Yeah. So it's all, again, we're naturally adding light, adding fire element, versus because of the days are shorter. So we balancing, so the cultures that have already developed the traditions, and when we follow these traditions, we're keeping the environment in balance.
And staying in balance.
And staying in balance, yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. So we have about a minute. So do you have a thought you might want to share with us today as we say goodbye?
I think to summarize what we have discussed today, my biggest suggestion is really step outside, look your surroundings, observe the nature in its all form, from the ground up to the skies high, and then bring that feel into your home, because that will help you to reflect also upon yourself. And if you sense something that's missing, then call me and I will help to adjust.
You go. For those who might need, and many of us would probably need a little of that professional assistance, that's for sure. Well, I love your energy, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but next time that would be very nice. The needle is pointing at me. I hope that's a good sign. Anyway, well, thank you very much for being on. On behalf of my audience, I hope they learned quite a bit from you today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you again very soon.
Thank you.
Well, again, on behalf of all of my guests, I hope you enjoyed today's show and look for us next week. But in the meantime, do something nice for someone who's not expecting it and just watch the magic and miracle happen around you. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.